I was raised in a like hyper conservative. I call it a cult, but for the sake of this interview, we'll just say hyper inordinately conservative Christian organization. Well, affirmative action wasn't particularly effective because of the fact that white women took it. Well, obviously, as like a staunch Christian, there's no way I'm going to talk
Yeah. Okay.
that
Okay.
could happen. But I will say though, I think that there's like quite a few myths about like the whole idea that Christianity was like just largely forced on black people.
We'll get into the icebreaker questions here, and the first one I had to do it to you because I of our good friend JLP. But do you love white people? I'm switching it up on you now. Do you love white people, Mr. Fanatic?
I mean, as much as I love everybody else, I
But
don't like
do
some
you?
of the stuff they've done though.
But do you love white people, Mr. Fanatic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You're going to hit me with the full JLP. I can't even get the nuance.
No, please. Yes or no? And that's all we'll take here. First one is going to be about how your upbringing has shaped your ideals that you hold today.
Oh, okay. I was raised in a like hyper conservative. I call it a cult, but for the sake of this interview, we'll just say hyper inordinately conservative Christian organization. But it really was, kind of wrapped in the founded in the holiness movement. Maybe kind of helped found the holiness movement, and it caused it shaped my religious views like pretty heavily. It gave me like the kind of awareness of being set apart and not needing to fit in with other people in the same way. And I think as a result of that now, I'm incredibly comfortable like standing on my own 2 feet, holding my own nuts, and not feeling compelled to be associated with other people or to do things that other people find popular. I'm just my own man. And I think that's literally a result of just being in a cult where you believe that every single other organization was wrong and you were the only one that was the truth, and so you had to be comfortable resting in your correctness by yourself. I've since, obviously, I'm not part of that organization in any capacity, and I've let go of a lot of that nonsense, but it did, that's something that I think I'll always carry with me.
Okay, yeah. I know you talk about your faith sometimes when it comes up, not all the times, but when it does come up. You're a stalwart defender of it. Are you? What sect do you belong to?
Just non-denominational Protestant Christian.
Okay, yeah. And where do you think that religion has like a place? What place do you think religion has in like the homes of particularly Black Americans? As it was a religion that was forced upon their ancestors, from our ancestors.
So here's the deal. I think it's so funny that you asked this question because I've, recently been getting into more solo content. And one of the things that I want to really talk about is specifically religion's impact on the Black community, on ethnic Black people, freedmen, and so on and so forth in this country. Because the Great Migration was largely made possible because of religion. The Civil Rights Movement was rooted in religion. Dr. Martin Luther King was a Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And a lot of the Civil Rights Movement had really religious organizations, things that we're particularly familiar with, like the song Amazing Grace. Those songs literally came from religious organizations, and it was really, I think, first like kind of brought to the light by Aretha Franklin, whose father was like probably one of the, was one of the most important people for the Civil Rights Movement.
What are some really impactful moments for you in history?
The kneeling on George Floyd's neck was huge. That like changed my whole outlook. I think I wouldn't even be talking politics now if it wasn't for that moment. It really woke me up pretty heavily, pretty quickly. What else? I think that one's really powerful, obviously.
What do you view as relevant in a discussion about the racial disparities Black people face in America?
What's relevant in discussing that? I would say, historical accuracy, the systemic oppression that led to it, some of the ongoing systemic oppression that's happening and being experienced that's contributing to it, And then I would say some of the attempts to rectify or claimed attempts to rectify it that do things that are obviously going to widen it, like Biden's recent student loan forgiveness plan, right? Where it's like there's literally no way you think that this is actually like going to fix anything. In fact, it's going to make it so much worse. Um, but he just does it, and I don't know how I don't know how that's even a thing. But
And
I would say
for those who aren't economists, how does it make it worse? I don't know how it makes it worse.
I can break it down in like really quickly for you. So there's four statements that need to be understood, and these things are all true. One, the majority of white borrowers are less than $25,000 in student loan debt. Two, black borrowers on average have $52,000 in student loan debt. Three, the student loan forgiveness forgives about $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients. Four, white borrowers are there are more Pell Grant recipient who are white than any other demographic. So the majority of Pell Grant recipients are white, which means taking all of those things, and you can come to the conclusion that the student loan forgiveness will leave many white borrowers with $5,000, or some of them having their debt wiped out entirely, whereas black borrowers will then be left with $32,000 in student loan debt still. And if we recognize that student loan debt is such a problem that we need to do something to fix it, and we're going to do something that's going to cause white borrowers to have their student loan debt almost completely eradicated, but will leave black borrowers with more student loan debt than the white borrowers had before we even started this rectification program, that means that we're about to do some serious harm, and the wealth gap is going to even widen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If we're talking about specifically the differences in income and things like that, absolutely. I would say that's the most relevant.
All right. Cool. Thank you.